So for people that happen to catch this on Twitter or actually on Good Morning America, they took this little child and had her her or him prance around. I'm not even sure of the age. Let me see if they say it. They do not. He started displaying an interest in women's clothes at age 6, but I'm not sure how old that child is now. Look at the makeup and the wig. The biggest problem that people don't understand about what they're doing here is they're actually trying to hide trafficking and pedogate and all of the crimes of the left into the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, and it's disgusting. What people need to understand is before we knew, they just hid this in general. We never even knew that they were allowing Muslims to come into this country because they have no consequences for crimes and they're allowed to sacrifice people. And now that that's out, as I told people a long time ago, the only thing that they were going to do was try to move it and hide it somewhere else. One of the reasons that New World Order was the plan was that they wanted everybody broken, everybody hating themselves and feeling awful, and then being able to control them. This is what abortions are. This is what they want to break everybody mentally. They want to blackmail you and allow for bullying and pick on you and have you hate yourself, have you hate your body, and have you able to be manipulated. I'm going to do another video on another day about learning to like yourself, because most people don't like themselves, even though we come into this earth as a perfect little baby. Whatever we have, if we have 4 fingers, 5, whatever, we are supposed to receive unconditional love forever. And when you're raised by loving parents, until you enter school or a place where you're picked on or people are jealous of you, you see the world as receiving unconditional love. The destruction of New World Order was to allow for bullying and allow it to make everybody feel awful from kindergarten on up, in order to keep people wanting to go to the doctor, thinking something's wrong, becoming drug addicts, needing to go to drinking, anything to absorb the pain, and to not even get over, high school prom and your prom date. And they never wanted anybody to fix themselves. So it became very difficult to try to heal people because they loved making money off people that are broken. So the push from the Democrats and the left to try to make all of this normal and to basically what I call pimp out children for a cause instead of letting them be children is in order, in fact, to now hide and disguise where they're running trafficking. And I'm going to finish. So here's a little girl. This created an outrage. The fact that they put her all dressed up, walking down a runway and talking. It's one thing if your child wants to do this in private and at home, but there's lifelong consequences for this child to have even done this interview, because whatever she says at this tiny little age is going to be her resume for life. And shame on the parents. And shame on Good Morning America for even doing a show like this. But the left is so compromised that what they're trying to do now is make this look invitable and make it look like, before it used to be to put your baby in pageants, and there was all kinds of trafficking at the pageants and all kinds of destruction to children. And try to remember JonBenet Ramsey. And they would hide and disguise child sacrifice all over the map. And now that that's been revealed and exposed, They're just looking for a new dumping site of where to put what they're doing. So if you start a whole series now and try to make this look like what you're supposed to do with your child, and you'll get on TV and you'll get asked to go on Good Morning America if you pimp out your kid and have them dress like this and act like this, they're trying to normalize it. And then sadly, there's pedophilia in Republicans, in Democrats, in families, in culture. And it's not just one side of it or the other, it's all over the map. And what they want to do now is make it as though if you're gay, if you're lesbian, if you're bisexual, or if you're transgender, you had pedophilia in your world. And they're hiding it in there for plenty of people that were born this way and decided very young and haven't been sexually abused. They're now categorizing all of that together as though pedophilia is okay in this community, and this community is normal in society. And by putting it on mainstream television, they're trying to make it look bigger than it is, when it's actually, in fact, a very small percent of people, and it is not normal, and it is not okay. And what's worse than that is, in my view, it's child abuse. We have to continue the fight that no child should ever be touched by an adult. It doesn't matter what community they're in and what sexuality they have. No parent has a right to touch a child. The desperation for everybody to not allow people to recover from pedophilia is that all the people that child sacrifice and want access to children as a rite of passage in the elite world is they want to still make it normal and give themselves permission. And without any place to hide it, now that we know, they're hiding it here. And this is why you are seeing this happen. And there are children, there's another ABC, Good Morning America did another one. They were pushing in November the transgender children propaganda. And they're just trying very, very hard to ruin children's childhoods. And children need to get acknowledgement and love from their parents. So if they came from same-sex parents and they're pressuring the child to change their gender, or they dress up their boy in girl clothing, or vice versa, they are already destroying children. And in the way that pageant moms in my day, in the 80s and 90s, destroyed their children by pimping them out to be the most beautiful baby in a little costume and spending all their time dressing them up so that they couldn't even play and they had to parade around. And I bartended and worked at the hotels where these pageants went on, and there was so much trauma in these children, and they wouldn't let them play. They were dressed up, they had to be perfect, they had to be beautiful, and they did not have childhoods because the parents were living vicariously through their children, trying to win money, even though they spent money to get their child famous and whatever. And a lot of these kids, of course, got in the hands of predator photographers, predator coach pageants, you name it, and there was all kinds of injury and harm to them, and child and sex trafficking. And it's just now switched from that being what it was, the little baby pageant queens, and now what we're doing is it's into transgender and into little kid actors and actresses like this, and pushing either lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. It is absolutely disgusting. But because they're skewing it by making it look mainstream, they're making it look larger than it is, and they're simply trying to hide the new place in order to abuse and have access to children. It is disgusting. What I want to tell people is love your child. 1000%, no matter how they come out. You need to love and safeguard them and not try to give them fame and not try to point out their differences. They are supposed to receive unconditional love from you and be able to stand up to their own lives and their own peer pressure because they come home to a safe place that no matter who they are and how they are loved by you. But parents' jobs are to protect them and not to make children famous because the suicide rate and the depression rate among children that struggle in the lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual community is so intense. And there are kids that struggle with this that don't even make it until they're teens because they're bullied and they're picked on. And the sad push to make it normal isn't what you think it is. It's to hide pedogate. And what we have to do is teach all people to love themselves no matter what, but to safeguard themselves and only live in the hands of parents that understand the boundary lines between you never touch your child, you never let anyone touch your child, and you safeguard that child into adulthood. Thank you.